Yes, lads, welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got the EFL review. Crazy weekend in League One and League Two. Even without the championship, we didn't need anything extra. It was absolute carnage across many games. A couple of last-minute winners, a lot of red cards, more than usual in terms of the red cards. One team even down to 9 men. We've got a lot to get through, so let's crack on. But before we do, if you are enjoying the content, please do like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill. I'm very appreciative of all the support I've had so far. It means a lot. We're going to start with League One, of course. 3 games in a bit more detail, but we'll look at the other scores as well. But we're going to start with Lincoln up against Wigan. 4 goals, 2 red cards. What a game this was. Of course, it finished 2-2 between the two sides. Genuinely, so much to go through in this game. So many chances. Very enjoyable watch. So yeah, where to start? We're going to start with Sam Tickle. I said he, for me, was one of the EFL stars. I have to go and play for England. And wow. What an assist from him for that first goal. A goal kick genuinely of the highest magnitude, world-class level out of his hands, straight like an arrow to Paul Mullen. Unbelievable goal kick. And it falls to Mullen, rounds the keeper. Lovely goal for 1-0. Genuinely very, very impressive. Manchester City, they'll be watching that one exactly how they love to do it as well with Edison, Trafford, whoever it is. Unbelievable goal. Lincoln, for me, this season in particular, they've been a bit ropey at the back, and Wigan found a lot of success being a lot more direct and really just launching the ball forward. Instead of trying to do the tippy-tappy football, just get it long and see what happens, and Lincoln just couldn't really deal with that, in my opinion. That was one of the reasons why they did concede 2 goals. But then Lincoln did get the ball down the other end, and another week, another stupid penalty. Sadie got his hands all over his man, brings him down. It's just stupid. When are these players going to learn? And in all fairness, I respect the referees giving them as penalties because they are, and they just keep doing it. When are these guys going to learn? They haven't this time. James Collins stepped up, Mr. Reliable, got the job done. Lovely penalty from him. James Collins then strikes again, and genuinely, is there a better striker in League One in and around that 6-yard box? Because the ball comes in and everyone goes to sleep apart from one man, James Collins. Lovely little finish off the outside of the boot on the volley. It's a very just intricate, nice finish into the corner, and it's just a lovely goal. And all of a sudden, this game has just been turned on its head thanks to James Collins. Sadie then gets down the wing, crosses the ball in beautifully for a Callum Wright goal to make it 2-2. Game now back in full swing, and then we see the first of the red card. So Sadie's effectively just tried to shield the ball, and in doing so, he's gone studs down right onto the ankle of Tom Bayliss. For me personally, it's a red card all day long. It's unfortunate, but for me, it's a bad one. It could have injured him. He stayed down for a little bit of time afterwards as well. So yeah, a red card all day long. Unfortunate though. I know he's not meant it. It doesn't matter. It's the same as if you do a high boot to someone, which is exactly what Street did. Awful, awful high boot. And it's just, again, it's not on purpose. You can tell that he didn't mean to do what he did. But again, you take the risk of putting the boot up there. You're always going to run the risk of injuring an opponent. And the referee left with no choice. So 2 unfortunate reds, to be honest. But regardless, red cards nonetheless. And yeah, and then the rest of the game was just a little bit scrappy, backwards and forwards, end to end. Both sides had their chances, their main big chances to win the game. Couldn't quite get it done. Lincoln probably looked the more like scoring and getting the winner out of the 2. But overall, I think a draw on the day is probably a fair result. So yeah, that was a great first game, but Wigan 2, Lincoln 2, probably a fair result. Plymouth now up against Stockport. Plymouth 4, Stockport 2. What a win this was for Plymouth. A win that they needed. A win that Tom Cleverley so desperately needed himself. Great win from them. The first goal let's just get straight into it. The first goal, oh my word. Kyle Wootton is sort of half being pulled and then sort of just, I don't know, like just flops to the floor half and then heads it towards his own goal. Genuinely a very strange own goal. If you haven't seen that one, go and check it out because I just don't know what he's trying to achieve. And he tries to say it's a foul. It's never a foul. And it's 1-0 to Plymouth, and it's sort of come from nothing really. But Plymouth, of course, the position they're in, they'll take goals like that. And then Plymouth go and make it 2-0, and it's Caleb Watt, signed from Exeter. And let me tell you something. You will probably not see, okay, there's a goal in League Two that's going to really push this one close, but you will not see a better goal than this in the whole of the weekend, in my opinion. That okay, it's this and the Vernon goal. Together, superb. But Watts gets the ball and he actually uses the inside of his boot, sort of, and just gets that outswing curve into the far corner. Genuinely, the technique on that is ridiculous. And it flies into that top corner. Unbelievable goal. And in comparison to the first one, which is the weirdest own goal you'll see in a while, this was pure quality and deserved of the ovation that it got. What a goal Watts scored in this game. And then another weird thing happened in this game. So there was a penalty, Nathan Lowe at the back post, and he just, in my opinion, he just falls over. The referees may be seeing something. Let me know what do you guys think? Is it a penalty? For me personally, it's a very soft penalty, and if we're going to start giving them like that, we run the risk of the game becoming unbelievably soft, even more soft than it's become now. So to me, it wasn't a penalty. Ollie Norwood, did he care? Of course he didn't. He just slotted the ball into the corner. So yeah, Ollie Norwood brings them level, but the penalty is a very dubious decision, one that, in my opinion, the referee probably did get wrong. And at this point here, did you think that Plymouth were going to sort of give the game away? Stockport were really going to find themselves back in the game? It wasn't to be. So Ibrahim on the edge of the box, and I just don't know what Stockport were doing. They just didn't really close him down, just gave him space. And you can see his body language. His body language is, oh, I could hit that. And then he's still got time to think, I could actually hit this, and then still has time and does hit it. And of course, when you get a shot like that, uncontested from around 20, 25 yards out, it has every chance. It was a low-driven shot into the bottom corner. Genuinely, Stockport, they had to close it down. They didn't, and it was 3-1. And again, Plymouth just looking like a bit of a new side. Is it like a bit of an injection of belief that they can actually go on and win some games? And it was all Plymouth, really, from this point. Absolutely dominated the game. Wonderful result for them. Genuinely a wonderful result. But there was one thing at 3-1 that I know every Plymouth fan at home or in the stadium was hoping to hear, and they got that. It was Tolaj's first goal for Plymouth. Direct ball down the pitch, and the first touch from him is an absolute joke. Just sort of touches it into his path, turns away from his defender, one-on-one. No mistakes made. Lovely finish as well. So for him to get off the mark in a Plymouth shirt, massive for them and massive for him as well. Kyle Wootton did get one back for Stockport, but it was too little too late, to be honest with you, which is a bit of the moral of the story from many games in the EFL this weekend. But Kyle Wootton, as I say, nice finish. Not much to talk about in regards to Stockport. Disappointing on the day for me, but Plymouth, what a win that is for them. They will now take this, move on to the next game, and just keep trying to build. And Tom Cleverley, a man whose job might have been on the line, looks now to be safe if he can keep this run of games going and get some more results in. But yeah, Plymouth, are they back? That is the big question. Port Vale now up against Leyton Orient. Again, another absolute classic. Final score, it was Port Vale 2, Leyton Orient 3. Port Vale so unlucky not to get some points from this game. Maybe they've only got themselves to blame. But it was a nice Port Vale first goal. However, I want to talk about the Leyton Orient defending. What was going on? It just looks a bit all over the place. And Leyton Orient, a side that have conceded quite a few goals so far this season, they're going to have to sort that out ASAP, because genuinely, defensively, they looked so poor. But then Port Vale, they had their turn, to be fair, in terms of bad defending. Connolly got the goal for Leyton Orient, but it's just questionable defending again. I just want my defenders to be a bit more solid, a bit more compact, and at least try and make it look like it's a bit of a difficult task to get past them and score a goal. That wasn't the case. So bad defending on both parts, but more so, if I'm going to be honest, on the Leyton Orient side. And it was just a bit of a back and forth game. We actually saw a goal from the new man, Devante Cole. Nice goal at that as well. Just did what he had to do. A bit of a poacher's finish. And then it all comes down to the fact that the game is 2-2. We're in the sort of added time. We're literally at the death of the game. Is any team going to go on and actually get the winner? If anything, it actually looked like it could have been Port Vale that were going to do so. But then down the other end, Wellens, his dad on the side of the pitch, of course, been brought in when you're the manager's son as well. There's this, like, you know, if you're playing games, it's, oh, yeah, you know, he's only playing there because of his dad, etc., etc. No, not in this case. He goes on to get the winner. That Leyton Orient end, absolute relief to go and get all 3 points. But this was just a great game. Overall, 3-2, which is the scoreline of the week, if I'm going to be honest. How many 3-2s did we see this weekend across League One and League Two? But yeah, they got the winner. They got what they needed to do. They got all 3 points, and it's a big 3 points for Leyton Orient. As for the rest of League One then, Bolton 3-0 winners up against Wimbledon. Wimbledon, the team I mentioned previously, down to 9 men. One of them, by the way, was a horrible, horrible foul. It just a shocker, a red card all day long. It could have been a really, really bad injury. Fortunately, it wasn't. But Bolton, as I say, 3-0 winners. Koiser Dewberry, the main man for them. Massive 3 points for them at home, building a bit more momentum. And as for Wimbledon, they've made a good start, but this is disappointing. To go down to 9 men, clear lack of discipline on the day. Doncaster 3, Bradford 1. Great win for Doncaster. I'm going to be honest, I predicted this one to be a very close game. Doncaster getting the win 3-2. 3-1 was the final score, so I was very close in doing so, but I just felt that Doncaster at home had that bit more of an edge about them, and they did. Bradford, unlucky to not get a second goal, to be fair, and make me 100% spot on. Doncaster, they weren't pecked by the chickens this time. Billy Sharp with the chicken celebration to the Bradford fans as well. You've got to love it. Exactly what you expect from Billy Sharp. So yeah, massive 3 points for Doncaster. They're continuing their fantastic start to the season. Huddersfield up against Peterborough. Peterborough actually took the lead in this one. They had everyone by surprise. The final score 3-2 to Huddersfield. But is this Peterborough showing us some form of life that it isn't going to be all over for them? They're not just going to get relegated. They're going to give us some sort of fight. Or is it actually a bit of a crack in the Huddersfield team that they're maybe not as good as everyone thought they were? So yeah, we'll have to see how these two sides go. Who's going to push on? Who's not? I personally think that genuinely, that to me, a Huddersfield side that maybe have a few cracks that are beginning to show. Rotherham 1, Exeter 0. A huge 3 points for Rotherham. They really, really needed to get 3 points and just let everything calm down. Exeter, I think they've made a decent start to the season, but this is a bad loss for them. They'd have wanted to at least get a point against the Rotherham side that have struggled so far this season. So yeah, a good 3 points for Rotherham. Exeter, work still to do. They've got to be winning games like that, or at least trying to pick up a point. So then, due to the international break, there were 4 games that were postponed. So that is all the action that we did have. But yeah, those games, I think they're being scheduled for the end of September to go again. That is a wrap. Great week for League One, a lot of great results, and I'm very excited to see what happens next week. Now then, on to League Two. Let me just get straight into this. We're going to go for Newport up against Bristol Rovers. Great game. Unbelievable game. So, the first half, we'll say no more on it. Very, very boring, lacked a bit of quality. The game really needed to get into the swing of things, and then we saw 5 goals in the second half. The first Bristol Rovers goal, it's Thomas that got the goal, but oh my word, it's like a goalmouth scramble. It's playing ping ball, and genuinely Newport, fantastic defending, resilient defending, bodies on the line. It falls to Thomas, and they're just 1 block short. It just goes in, and unfortunately for them, they concede their first, but as for Bristol Rovers, probably a deserved first goal for them, and at this point here, it sort of set the tone of what was to come for the next half an hour or so. But just before we get into the sort of remaining goals, I just want to touch on Thomas again. Charges down the keeper straight from kickoff, and it sort of hits him on the side. I personally think if VAR were to be involved, this goal may have stood. Of course, the referee deemed it as handball, but genuine to me, it's sort of the armpit area, so he's unlucky not to have got a second straight away after. But was he denied of a hat-trick? Maybe he was. But Newport, though, they haven't learned a lesson. They still tried to play out from the back. They got caught doing so, and that is where Thomas did get his second. A good finish, but again, gifted the goal to them from Newport. For goalkeeping for the third, it was Harrison that got the goal. And at this point here, 3-0, you are thinking complete game over. At this point as well, there's only about 20 minutes to go, maybe a little bit less. So genuinely, at this point, I'm thinking Bristol Rovers have got the job done, 3 points away from home, but Newport wanted to give them a bit of a scare, and they managed to score 2 goals in the last sort of 10 minutes or so, and really put this game on eggshells. It was Whitmore, the substitution, that got the first goal. What a goal this was. Just really nice technique in terms of the volley. Absolutely smashes it in. Keeper with no chance, no matter what level you play at. Great strike from him. And that then really began this comeback that I'm about to talk about. The second goal was superb. Lovely football, pinging the ball around and And genuinely, if we would have seen Newport play like this from the start, they might have even got all 3 points here. They've been unlucky this season. This was just another example. Got to do better in terms of keeping the consistency of the performance up. But it was a lovely goal, as I say, nice team goal. And then they had the chance to draw level. The ball is whipped in. It's a glancing header towards the back post. Just doesn't quite make it. So Newport, unfortunately, denied the comeback. But as I said earlier on, the theme of this video, if you will, leaving it too late and leaving it to chance and having a couple of minutes to try and turn it round. They felt the consequences of it, though, ultimately, because Bristol Rovers took all 3 points at Newport. So, yeah, Newport with work to do. They need to try and get some points on the board. Bristol Rovers, they will be delighted to go and get 3 points there. MK Dons now up against Grimsby. Grimsby, the highs recently beating Manchester United. MK Dons, the lows recently losing at home to Walsall. They're trying to bounce back. They're trying to get a home win after failing to do so against Walsall. And it went absolutely terribly for them in that first half. So half-time score, it's Grimsby 3, MK Dons 0, MK Dons down to 10 players. You couldn't have wrote a worse script for them, but Grimsby in that first half, phenomenal. It was Green that got the first goal. It's a lovely little move, nice intricate football. But MK Dons, to me, a little bit asleep in terms of this goal. I expected better from them. We then saw a great save from McGilvery, but he let himself down so much. So the shot comes in, and he just sort of parries it straight out to Cabia, who makes no mistake. Easy finish for a player of his quality, and that's quite a few goals he scored for them this season now. So he looks to be a real talent for them this season. But the man who got 2 assists before that, Vernon. We said there was another goal in the EFL this weekend that rivals Caleb Watts. This is it. Absolute perfection. Cuts inside, curls it into the top corner. The keeper doesn't move. He can't move. He can't do anything. As soon as the ball has left the foot of Vernon, he can't do anything. What a finish it was. Genuinely a wonderful goal. And this is even before the red card as well. So it's not like they've done this against 10 men. They've battered them 11 versus 11. And then actually, when they do go down to 10, it's Mellis that does it. And it's a high foot. It's a stupid tackle. When Mellis does it, this is where everything changes, because all of a sudden now MK Dons going at halftime, come back out a transformed side. The first goal for MK Dons in this comeback, it was an own goal. It's an unfortunate own goal, but again, it's a great ball into the box that causes the dismay, and that's where the goal comes from. So an own goal to bring them back in. And then we saw Evans get a goal in the 91st minute, but again, too little, too late. So it was a good comeback. It was a resolute team that went back out there in front of their home crowd and managed to claw 2 goals back. And they won the second half 2-0 with 10 men. That is something that you'll look back on and say, okay, fair performance. However, that first half, unforgivable, and it's cost them all 3 points. So Grimsby with a great away win at MK Dons, an MK Dons side that, as I say, back-to-back losses. They need to sort this out, especially because those back-to-back losses are at home. Bromley up against Gillingham. So Sky put on the Newport versus Bristol game, and they also put on the Gillingham and Bromley game. Sky will be licking their lips because they got it absolutely spot on in terms of the coverage they went for. This one finished 2-2. It could have been 5-0 to Bromley by half time. It wasn't. It was 2-0. And then we saw Gillingham come back with the very, very controversial decision of the penalty at the end of the game. So let's get into this because there is a lot to talk about. So the Bromley first scored by Kambala. The ball comes in. Michael Cheek involved as per usual. Ball comes in. Kambala on the half turn. Unbelievable turn, completely leaves his man for dead, and then a left foot finish into the bottom corner. Genuinely a great goal, a striker that looks absolutely sharp, on top of his game. That's what you want from your striker. He's made something from nothing, and they got themselves a goal. And then Michael Cheek, or as I call him, the League 2 Harry Kane, got himself a goal. Has he been a little bit more quiet this season in terms of his goal contributions? Yes. But is he still showing the same level of class that he's just a cheat code for this division? He really is. He should be playing higher. But again, the League 2 Harry Kane got himself a goal. A very nice goal at that as well. And across the span of this game, as I said, it could have been 4 or 5-0. Bromley had chances to finish this game and put this game to bed. I think we were all expecting Gillingham to come back into the game at some point, but genuinely, Bromley, they have to finish their chances because ultimately it's cost them whether the penalty decision is actually a controversial one or not. To me personally, they've let themselves down by not finishing their chances. The biggest chance maybe Michael Cheek off the post. I'm expecting him to finish that, a player of his quality. But as I say, Gillingham did come back into this game. And we've seen this time and time again this season from different teams. It is the Tony Pulis classic, the long throw into the box, and it was Andrews that got the goal. But these long throws, they're causing so many issues for teams this season. Think about pet football and how it's, quick throwing down to feet. Now we're seeing long throws back. I love the directness of it. And it clearly works, doesn't it? Because another goal from a long throw in. But then we are left with the controversial decision. It is the 93rd or 4th minute at this point. Gillingham breaking down the left-hand side. And I'm really confused as to what's actually happened here or what the referee has seen here. So yeah, it's actually to me a dive. And it's actually the knee going into Smith's head. And it's actually a foul for Smith. I think it's an absolute horrible watch to look back on. I'm not sure there was much contact. Again, if VAR were involved, I think they would tell the referee to go to the screen and it would not be given as a penalty. But we're talking about League Two and there is no VAR. And it was a very controversial decision that the referee, in my opinion, got wrong. Did Gillingham care? Did Max Clark care? No, he didn't. Great penalty from him. A little bit of afters with the Bromley players as well. That Gillingham end absolutely erupted. Fair play to them. Absolute limbs there. And it's controversial. It was probably the wrong decision, but it doesn't matter because the final score finished 2-2 between the two sides. But Bromley, if you're frustrated at the decision, I get that, but be more frustrated you didn't put your chances away when you were 2-0 up. And yeah, great game at the end of the EFL this season. The last game that we had. What a game it was. Genuinely, thoroughly enjoyable, and that was a wrap on the EFL. So let's have a look at the other games in League Two as well. Barnet at home to a struggling Shrewsbury side. Are Shrewsbury now not a struggling side and beginning to settle into League Two? It looks that way. Shrewsbury 3, Barnet 1. A good win for Shrewsbury, who will be more than happy to take all 3 points back home. Barrow up against high-flying Swindon. Were they going to be a thorn in Ian Holloway's side? Absolutely not. Swindon 3, Barrow 1. Swindon blew them away. Cambridge, disappointing result for them, losing 1-0 to Oldham. Oldham, what a great 3 points it was for them. It's results like that they're going to need to really stabilise themselves in this league and avoid the drop. I think they will, but they need more results like this, and I'm happy to say for them, they got it. Speaking of two sides that really need 3 points, if both sides could have got 3 points from this game, they'd have been laughing. Of course, that's impossible. Who did get 3 points? It was Cheltenham. Cheltenham 1, Accrington 0. Great result for them. They will be delighted. Colchester and Crewe, both with good starts to the season, now slowing down a little bit. This one finished 1-1 on the day, and I think both sides will take this. It's a good point for both, considering that Crewe in midweek won 7-1. I was hoping for some more goals for them. They didn't come. Harrogate 0, Crawley 1. Crawley showing to everyone that they are going to fight. Similar to Shrewsbury, a great away win for Crawley. They will be delighted. Notts County up against Fleetwood now. And this to me was a very interesting game. I thought there'd be goals in it. It actually turned out to be the opposite. A tight affair. Notts County getting the win. At Notts County as well, they are beginning to now get some good results at home after a couple of bad ones at the start of this season. Salford up against Tranmere, and Salford, all credit to them. They're up against a very decent Tranmere side, but Salford showed why they were the better side on the day, and it was a convincing 3-1 victory. And for them, a massive 3 points. For Tranmere, frustrating as they're trying to, they lost last week. They're trying to build a bit of momentum. It's just not quite happening for them. Walsall up against Chesterfield. Walsall down to 10 men. First game of the season, they managed to hold on in a 1-0 win, and they've done the same again. Walsall 1, Chesterfield 0. Massive result for them, especially because they were down to 10 men. So that is the end of the EFL review. We, of course, have got the Championship back next weekend, as well as the Premier League. I'm very much looking forward to that. But League One and League Two, take nothing away from them. What a great set of leagues they've proven to be once again this weekend. So much action, so much drama. Red cards here, red cards there. Exactly what we want to be watching as a neutral. So let me know in the comments, how did your team get on? What were your thoughts? And of course, as always, I will see you on the next one.